The benchmark price for single-family homes has increased once again, yet the median and average price fell from last month. What's going on? Let's go check it out. My name is Fyfe, your Calgary real estate agent. If you're looking at getting into the market, go ahead and book a call with me. It is never too early to start the conversation. I promise I'm pretty easy to talk to and I'm able to provide a lot of detail in a 1-hour session. So let's get into this. Now, before we get into it too deeply, I wanted to showcase to you that the benchmark price for a single family home in Calgary is $697,600. That's an increase from $1,500 last month and a $73,000 increase from last year. Now, it's very important to realize that the benchmark attributes for a single family home are as followed in the bottom. Now, this changes for every single quadrant and every single community. So you need to make sure that you're looking at this in a lot more detail than just the service level stuff. So let's continue on here. Now, as usual, what we're going to do is we're going to read what the Calgary Real Estate Board has written about the market. If you want to read it on your own, totally fine. Pause the video, skip to the next chapter, or follow along here. Both sales and new listings improved over levels reported last October. However, with 1,300 new listings this month and 976 sales, inventory levels slowed over the last month. Inventory levels remained the lowest ever reported for October, so in its history. Inventory levels have declined for all homes priced below $700,000, leaving conditions exceptionally tight for lower priced homes. The only area where conditions were not tight as last year is for homes priced over $1 million, where the months of supply has risen to 4.3 months, which is considered to be a buyer's market. A little bit more balanced, but a buyer's market nonetheless. Persistently tight conditions continue to cause further price gains in the detached market. As of October, the unadjusted benchmark price has reached $697,000, a slight increase over last month and a 12% higher price than last October. Prices trended up over last month across every district except Southeast. Year-to-date benchmark prices have increased the most in Northeast and East districts. So a lot to digest there, but let's continue on and we'll break it down as we go along. Now, this is a really good chart, very visually pleasing. It's a very easy to understand. You can see that the red bar is the benchmark price. You can see that it did increase from last month, but the pricing has somewhat stabilized all the way from October. Are we starting to see that seasonal adjustment where things are slowing down? And I would argue yes. You can see that the inventory levels have stayed relatively flat, as well as the sales. Now, the sales have decreased from the last 3 months, but ever so slightly, as well as the inventory also dropping ever so slightly. The pricing did increase, but we're talking about $1,500, so it's really not that much. So I would argue that we're going to start to see more of this stabilization going into the winter. Typically, we would see price reductions, but given the hot market, I would imagine that the pricing is going to slightly increase while staying roughly around the same price point. Now, I haven't touched on this in a while, and I thought that this was fascinating. I really wanted to bring it up. If you want, I can bring it up in more reports, but it's a lot to digest in this report here. So we're going to look at October 2023. You can see that the sales were 976, similar to last year. You can see that the new listings was 1,300, similar to last year. The inventory is 1,500 leftover homes at the end of the month. Days on market is 27, which is a significant decrease from last year, but a small increase from the summer. The benchmark price, which is with actual attributes of the house, has increased, but the overall median price, or the middle, or the average price, has actually decreased. So you would almost start to think that the pricing is going to decrease as well, but what that means to me is that more lower end product actually sold than higher end product. So it's a little bit of an interesting dynamics there. You can see that it's actually happened a few times this year. If we go to May to June, you can see that the median as well as the average price actually decreased from May to June, but the benchmark price increased dramatically, about $10,000. So just because the average and median decreased doesn't mean that the benchmark price is going to decrease as well. It's a very interesting stat. It shows the average kind of going on in the market. It's a cool indicator to follow, but it goes up and down dramatically. The average tends to fluctuate a lot, where the benchmark price is a little bit more stable because the benchmark price has attributes actually attached to that price point. Now, kind of moving along here to the inventory side of things, you can see that the trend is still trending down. The months of supply is around 1.5 months. I would imagine that the inventory is going to stay this low going into the winter months. Now, diving into that a little bit more, this is the months of supply, and the only section we're going to concentrate on is the detached section here. If you're looking for the other property sectors, follow my other videos. You can see that months of supply in the black for city as a whole is 1.5 months, which is still a seller's market. A lot of things are moving quick. You can see that the detached market in East Calgary is under 1 month, which is very strong seller's market. Both the city center and West Calgary have the highest months of supply, but they are the most expensive, so they're not the most sought after, where everything else is hovering around 1.5 months. Now, this is quite interesting. This is the benchmark price for October. So this basically just showcased to you how much homes are in those respective quadrants. And in today's video, we're going to pick on, what did we choose today? We're going to pick on north as well as south, just as an example to give to you as what is going on in those quadrants. So you can see that in this chart here, north and south are relatively close, around, let's say, $630,000 to $650,000. But when you look at this here, you could see that north and south actually have different attributes. We're not going to dive into it too deeply, but North Calgary, the attributes for a single family home include a total of 3 bedrooms and 1,500 square feet. Where if you go to the south, it actually includes 4 bedrooms, but it's also 1,500 square feet. So when you start to look at these benchmark prices, it's really important that you dive into what you actually get for that price. Yes, of course, it looks like the north is a little cheaper, but at the same time, the north only gets a 3-bed, where the south will get you a 4-bed. So you might actually get a little bit more bang for your buck in the south for a similar price point. Now, moving forward, you can see that this is the year-over-year growth. Now, this is very interesting because it just showcased to you how much different properties are increasing from last year. You can see that the most affordable quadrant in all of Calgary, Calgary East, has increased over 20%, as well as Northeast, which has increased about 18%. 2 of the most affordable areas in Calgary have seen the biggest increase. Now, where am I going with this? A lot of people are curious what's going on with their personal assets. I have partnered up with a very cool, slick AI software where it spits out an instantaneous valuation of your home in this specific market. If you're not looking to sell, that's totally cool. I have a lot of people using the software. It's very, I'm very grateful for that. I'm very honored with that. I will call, I'll introduce myself, I'll ask what your situation is, I'll kind of set you up on anything if you want to be set up. If you don't, that's totally fine too. This software is free to use, it's very convenient, it's very useful and kind of neat. So go ahead, put in your information in there and let the system tell you roughly what your property is worth. So let's end it off with this. This is the microeconomic breakdown for the entire city going into each individual quadrant. Very interesting stuff here. You can see that every quadrant has seen an increase minus the southeast. So everything else has seen an increase here. So if I actually remove the white slot that I've got here, you can see that I think I made a mistake on the southeast here, and I'm going to go back in post and fix that. So it kind of threw me off there for a bit. A couple of things that I did want to highlight though is Calgary West as well as Calgary East. Now Calgary West, awesome, saw a $2,100 increase month over month, but they actually saw a $24,000 decrease last month. So even though that they've increased by a little bit, awesome, they actually did not get back the losses from last month. So that I found very interesting. And if you are curious of what's going on in your quadrant, you can follow it along with the sales, the new listings, the sales to new listing ratio, which is on average about 75%. Every quadrant is a little bit different, where Calgary City Center and Northeast are seeing the lowest percentage. The inventory, or the leftover homes at the end of the month, you can see again Calgary City Center as well as Calgary South having the most amount of homes left over at the end of the month. Months of supply, you can see that this is the kind of the demand of that quadrant, how many homes, how fast that market is going to move. If the lower the number, as an example, you can see Calgary East is under 1 month of supply, which is very strong seller's market, meaning that all of the product will sell within 1 month if no new listings, no new buyers came to the market. You can go to the benchmark price here. If you are curious about what the benchmark attributes are for each individual quadrant, feel free and reach out. Let me know to send you an email. I'll send you all the benchmark attributes for those properties, as well as the year over year and the month over month percentages. And I do apologize. I actually made a small mistake here at the very beginning of this when I was editing it, and it kind of threw me off as I was looking at this slide right off the hop. So Southeast did see a small decrease, unfortunate to say the least. Not a very large decrease by any means, dropped by about $2,000. So not a whole lot, but it's still a decrease nonetheless. So my predictions, what's going to happen in the Calgary real estate market. We're going into the winter. I think that things are going to slow down. I do not foresee any major price decreases in this sector. If we look at this time last year from 2022 to 2023, you can see the red bar did decline a little bit. Interest rates were going up. A lot of people weren't sure what's going to happen with the market last year, and you saw a small decrease there. But with that being said, January, February, March, we saw that fast increase. You can see 2021, 2022, when this market had really started to take off, you can actually see that we saw increases from, let's say, September to January, and then January, February absolutely took off. I'm not going to say that we're going to take off in 2024, but I would imagine we're still going to see increases based off of the inventory and the demand in this market. I would imagine we're going to be similar to 2021, 2022 winter, where we're going to see more or less a flat line with small increases, with increases going into 2024. So I could be wrong, but based off of my knowledge of the market, what I'm personally seeing in the field, I would imagine that's going to happen. So if you have any questions about your individual situation and you want to dive into these things in a lot more detail, go ahead, book a call with me. I promise I'm pretty easy to talk to. I'm very data driven, and if you want to dive into these things in a lot more detail for your personal situation, I'm all for it. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I hope that you get a lot of value from these videos. If you want me to talk about other things, or you want me to bring in news articles, or you just want me to do something different and you're enjoying this content, go ahead and reach out. Like, comment below. Let me know what you want to see, and I will do my best to try to cater to that. So thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate all the support. If you have any questions, let me know, but we'll see you on the next one. Peace.